I would like to speak about a few different things tonight, but the first thing I would like to speak about is something that came to my attention today. It wasn't really planned, but I saw that they put on Israeli news about an hour, maybe 45 minutes, a show, and it's like an article or something like that. It's about the situation of the new generations. I mean, our youth. And I want to connect it with certain things that I spoke in the past about. When we check a little bit in the last 3 or 4 generations, we see that every generation is a little bit less than the previous generation. We cannot point in today's generation and say today, in today's 21st century, the Jews are more righteous than 30 or 40 or 50 years ago. And the Jews from 30, 40 years ago, you cannot say they're more righteous than the Jews in 60, 70 years ago. And every generation, let's assume it's about 30 years, so every generation is much, much lower in a spiritual level than the previous generation. It's nothing new. It was always like this. From the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, constantly, from the time the Torah was given, every generation was a drop lower than the previous generation. But I would like to highlight that this generation, I should say, the beginning of our generation, which let's say started 30 years ago, like 1970, something like that, there was a huge drop in our level. If you look at the graph, how the level of the spiritual level of the Jewish nation was constantly going down, it wasn't so sharp. But comes the last generation, it's much like a fall. It's a real drop. What really happened? What happened to us? That in a period of 20, 30 years, maybe 60, 70% of the Jews in the world that were traditional or partially religious or fully religious left religion completely, until their children growing up today like goyim. They go to public school, they have goyish name, they dress like goyim, they speak like goyim. Some of them grow up with maids that came from the islands. They even get their accent, they speak like Jamaicans. So when they grow up, this kid, look at his name, look at his accent, look at his look, and his values. There's nothing that indicates that he's connected to Judaism even by a bit. Nothing. And it's not 1 or 2 people. We're talking millions here. We're not that such a huge nation. We're only 13.2 million, which is another serious problem, because we are paying today the price of all the intermarriage and all the Holocaust and all the other problems that we had in the last 2,000 years. But besides the quantity, now I want to focus on the quality. So the answer is, it was the beginning of the media started to develop. The media, 30, 35 years ago, there was hardly any media. I mean, in Israel, I remember they bought the first TV when I was a little kid. So figure it was black and white, and someone who had a TV at home was a wealthy person. Not everyone could afford a TV. Like today, you go to the store, $100 you buy one. In the old days, black and white was something special. So maybe for every 1,000 people, one could afford one. So when there was something in special, everyone wanted to just come to watch. That's how it started. And that was the beginning of our destruction. That's basically what caused all this situation. Until everyone had a TV in his home, people were connected to God either partially or fully. Comes the TV, in a period of few years, there was a huge drop. Just when you thought that TV is the only problem, comes the newspapers, comes the materialistic world, and the worst what I heard today is gambling. Gambling. I always knew gambling is a problem. It's nothing new, not that I'm so surprised. But I never dreamed what a cancer it is in our society. So basically, a country like Israel, which is more or less the same like United States, democratic country, modern people, they all connected to computers, to internet, to TV, to sport, They watch more or less the same shows. Almost every second youth, every second young kid in Israel is addicted to gambling through his internet, through computers. People already, before they even get mature, before they even finish high school, they have hundreds of thousands of shekel debt. Their life is finished before they even started. Before they're going to ever meet a girl and try to establish a home, they already owe money for the next 50 years. They will not be able to finish to pay the debt. And in Israel, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends from what side you look at that, it's different than here. Because in the United States, I hate to say it, but that's the truth. What can I say? The United States is a sophisticated school for crooks. All the constitution here, all the laws, all the system here, it's all tricky. It's everything tricky. From A to Z. The point here is just not to get caught. But everything almost here is allowed, almost everything. For instance, what do I mean? You can open a business, 10, 15 years you're in business, you establish great credit with your creditors, and now you owe $500,000, and one day you decide that you don't want to pay. It's very legal, no problem. You call up a lawyer, I want to make a bankruptcy. What is the law of bankruptcy? Your credit will not be so great for the next 7 years. There are companies that for $1,500 in a month, your credit will be brand new. So basically, instead of paying $500,000 or $5 million, depend what business you have, it could be $50 million, depending how big you are. One day you decide to press the button, and hundreds of families that depend on the money you owe them collapse. People lose their houses, people lose their businesses, maybe 200 businesses will go bankrupt because somebody, like with a huge chain, the department store or something, decide to make bankruptcy. Everything is no problem. You just call up the lawyer, you pay him $2,000, and tomorrow you're a new person, you open a new corporation. Within a week, you can be in the same location, in the same place, banking in the same place, everything the same, and nobody can touch you. That's United States. And every day when you turn the 10:10 news, what do you hear? Every minute. Call now before it's too late. Before the bankruptcy laws are going to be changed. You may facing problems. For years they keep saying it. The bankruptcy law will not change. This is the way it's been going on. Not only that, if a person gave you a check and you supply with the merchandise and the check bounces, there's nothing you can do here. There's nothing you can do. It will take you years to fight with him in court, and then even if you win the case, it's very difficult to collect. There's nothing you can do. You cannot knock on his door. If you come to his door to knock, hey, you owe me $10,000, in 2 minutes you'll be in jail. You the criminal. Why? Because you came to collect. This is the law. You call up the police. Just to give you an idea a little bit about what's going on. But Israel is different than here. In Israel, if you give someone a check and the check returned and he takes you to court and you lose the case, you have a very serious problem. You must pay the money. If you don't pay the money, there's something that called הוצאה לפועל, execution. They execute the judgment. They knock on your door. Hello, you have a bill to pay. How much? $10,000. Excuse me, we don't have. You don't have? No problem. Take the TV, they take the beds, they take the washer and dryer, they leave you with nothing. You sit on the floor, you cry. No mercy. If you resist, they break your face. And they take it out, and they leave you with nothing. And then if it's not enough to cover, they take you home. What's going to be? You live on the street, they don't care. That's also maybe a little bit too much. That's maybe that's already exaggerating. But this is what's going on now in Israel right now. There are parents, the children come to the computer while they're at work, killing themselves to make $1,000 a month. And at the time that he makes $1,000 this month, his son already lost maybe 10 or 20 or 30,000. And one day people knock on their door, and the father, the poor father, has to take loans and pay for his children's crimes. And that's how houses are broken. And the worst part is that in Israel, they never leave you alone. There's nothing like this bankruptcy. If you owe $1,000 today, next year it's going to be $10,000. If you don't pay it by then, the next year it's going to be $40,000. In a few years, it's going to be millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. It's grow like snowballs. I know someone in Israel, he had an insurance wholesale business, and he owed 40,000 shekel. 40,000 shekel then was about $8,000. For a huge business, it's not a lot. The Intifada started, the Arabs had his merchandise, and nobody had the guts to go collect. You don't want to die there. He went bankrupt. Today, after 25 years, the $8,000 is millions of shekel. There's not 1 month, talking 25 years. I was a kid when it happened to him. After 25 years, almost every week they knock on his door and take something from the house. Never give up. And he only grows. And he paid already hundreds of thousands of shekel, he paid already. Whatever available money he was trying to pay them, not only doesn't cover the debt, it keeps growing like crazy. Which means he's going to pay for the rest of his life. So what do we learn from all this story now? Let's add together all the problems we're facing right now. Problem number one, we're raising children, or we are the same, depending how young we are or how old we are, that are addicted to the media. 4 to 6 or sometimes even 8 hours a day, they attach their face to the screen and they have nothing in life. What's the damage? The damage is that they have no imaginations anymore of their own. The media design the way they live, the way they think, the way they talk, the way they look at things in life. For instance, before they invented TV, if a person would see a murder, it would take him months to recuperate from that scene. He will be in shock for months. It would be a nightmare. He would need maybe psychological treatment to overcome this tragedy. Today, every second a person sees murder and it doesn't even bother him. He got used to it. So what do we see? Damage number one, we lost our mercy. We lost our senses. We are not human beings as we were supposed to. That's one damage. Second damage is, all of us has a dream. What's our dream? To become successful in materialistic way. Almost every person in this world today, from 6.4 billion, has a dream. Among all his dreams and all his hobbies and all his hallucinations, whatever you want to call it, almost all of them have a mutual dream, to be rich. Almost every person. You take 1 million person and check one by one with a polygraph, and you see that the main dream of every person is to become rich. What caused it? Very simple. If he sits 3, 4, 6 hours near the screen, and in a screen, what does he see? All the illusions of life. Castles, arts, palaces, jewelry, nice clothing, fancy cars, fancy streets, fancy stores, sports. Every little 20, 21 years old playing basketball, making 100 million, 50 million. That's what he sees all days. Plus, the way they design the media is to show that the way they rate people is by how successful they are, how their status. The more successful they are in materialistic way, they consider better people in the eyes of the media. And we became a robot. A robot has no choice. We are watching this constantly all the time, and we lose completely our personality. So before we even started our test in life, we were created for a reason here. We don't have a choice whatsoever to be successful in our mission in life. Just before we even became an adult, before we even started our life, 13, 14 years old, we are so rotten, we are so dirty in our souls, that we don't have a choice whatsoever to even complete 1 or 2 or 5% from our mission in life. Why? It's impossible. How does a kid wants to look at the Gemara or learn Torah or learn how to become modest and simple and not having materialistic dream. Rather, he should have spiritual dreams. How is it possible? You think that kids, when you give them all these Game Boys and all these computer games and all this fancy food and all these fancy trips and all they're gonna hear in their house, how you rate your friends by how much money they make and what cars they drive and where do they live and what do they do for living, which is the main questions in today's society. And you approve what I say, because today every girl that meet a guy, whenever they meet in a nightclub, in a restaurant, I don't know, almost always the first question is, so what do you do for living? That's the main thing in her mind. The main thing in her mind, what does he do for a living? I'm not saying it's not important. It's important. Money, it's an important issue in life. We cannot live in illusion and think we're going to live by breathing oxygen. We need money. But to make it number one, way above everything else in life, that's where the mistakes begin. Which means, if a person has great traits, great personality, is very spiritual, is very kind, is very merciful, is very intelligent, is a great person, is kind, is helping a lot of miserable people, is not arrogant, is generous, he is going to be a great father. Each one of them is billion times more important than money. Each one of the list that I mentioned, if you understand the way God thinking about life and the way God taught us about life, each one of the things I mentioned is a billion times more important than money. But almost all of us will take the money and neglect all the other. If it will be a person that has all that and doesn't have money, or a person that has money and have none of it, most people will make the wrong choice. What's the reason? The media. There's no other reason. That's the beginning of cancer in society, and today I don't know if there's a way to correct. I'm not so sure that it's even possible anymore to correct, because it became the God of our life. The God of the people, really, it's what he watch in a screen. They're gonna decide the way he's gonna get dressed. They'll decide his investments in life. They'll decide his hobbies. They'll decide the way he treats his wife. What do I mean by that? I'll give you an example. A person had a dream. What was his dream? To meet a beautiful woman. That was his dream. Of course, it's important that she has all the other traits, but for him it's important that she'll be a pretty lady. Finally, he met a pretty lady. All his friends is very jealous with him. How lucky you got, you know. And he's very happy in the first month or two. What happened later? 6 months later, you hear they're about to get divorced. And almost always it's happening. Today, more than 70% of the young people today get divorced within 4 years. I'm not so sure about the numbers in America, but this is the rate in Tel Aviv. I'm not sure that Tel Aviv is worse than New York. I'm not sure. But that's the situation. How does it work? For every 100 couple that register in Rabbanut to get married, they will return within 4 years to the same office next door to get divorced. And then the misery begins. So the question is, first of all, why? Why is it? One of the reasons that the percentage is so high is because some people get divorced 6 times in a lifetime. They get married 3 times, twice, 4 times, 6 times, depend how much money they have, because money, it's an issue here. If they can keep supporting another woman and another one and keep getting remarried, they'll do it. They don't have the ability, they may think twice. But the situation here, that if we look at the statistic in the last 30 years, the divorce rate is unbelievable how it's going. Every month it's going. Last 2 weeks ago, they came up with the new numbers, hundreds of % increase from last year's in certain cities. It's unbelievable. Even in some religious places already, the numbers starting to go higher. Why is it? When he met his wife, he was very happy. She's a nice girl, she's very intelligent, and very, very pretty woman. What does a person need more than that? What does he need more than that? Assume she's loyal to him, and assume she's a good housewife. Why is it that he's going to cheat in 6 months and start looking around, maybe he's going to get somebody else? And even those he's going to get, most likely will not be as good as her. What's the reason for it? What's the reason for it? The media. I explain what I mean. The way God created the world is that everything material is just a matter of time until you get sick and tired of it. Everything material. Everything, furniture, you like it in the first day, very excited, you bought a wonderful, beautiful table. The next day, you're not so excited. After a week, a little bit less. A year later, you're not even thinking that this table is anything special. You're already thinking to replace it. Same thing with cars, same thing with jewelry, same things with carpets, same things with everything you own. You only get excited. The record of the excitement is the moment you get it. From the moment you got it, it's constantly going down. Every second is a little bit less. The difference is that between now to the next minute, you don't see any difference because it's a slow process. But if you come a month later, you see disgusted by that. How is it possible? A month ago you were dancing. Same thing with your wife. Every 2 seconds you see another commercial, you see another movie. The media constantly pushing to your brain all these new movie stars that coming every week to the attention of society. And then it's the nature of the person. When a person is anyway got used to what he has, he's looking always for new excitement. And that's how almost every house is broken. Now we have to pay attention to one important thing. When we check the statistic, we're finding something very interesting. The places that are wealthiest, always, but always, with no exception, the divorce rate in those towns is always the highest. The more poor the town is, the less divorce rate they have. I once thought that the main problems for divorce is economical. They cannot survive, it's very difficult, it's the poverty in the house, and they get tired of life, so they just don't want to continue with this pressure, so they get divorced. It's also true. But I was surprised because all the fancy areas, the divorce rate is always higher than the poor places. So what do we see from that? Very simple. We have a rule in the Torah. The more a person is in love with this world of illusion, the worlds of lies, as Chazal calls this world in the Torah, the more a person is more addicted to this materialistic world, to jewelry, to furniture, to cars, to all the things that people run after. At the same time he's focusing on those things, at the same second, the more he progresses with his running after material and he's being more successful supposedly, at the same time he's neglecting God more and more and more until he gets to a point he cannot stand God, cannot even look at him, cannot even pray 5 minutes a day, he cannot even open a book. You have to pay millions for him to agree to come to a lecture to hear. Why is it? Because this is the way the world is. When God created a person, is a combination of spirituality, which is the soul, and the body. And from the moment that the person is created, the fight will never stop. It could be 30, 40, 60, 70, 100 years. As long as you're alive and breathing, there's always a constant fight between your soul to your body. And they all have deep opposite plans. Your body wants rest, wants relation, wants tasty food, wants beautiful clothing, wants cigarettes, wants drugs, wants sport, wants movies. That's the body. The soul is disgusted by all these things. None of these things makes the soul happy. Nothing. When does the soul really happy? I'll give you an example. Did it ever happen to you that you gave charity to a miserable person and you follow what was the change in his life thanks to your help? What a great feeling it is inside the heart. It's one of the happiest moments in life. I remember maybe 14, 15 years ago, I used to live not far from Kennedy Airport, that area. I remember I had a bunch of clothes that I didn't know what to do with. I want to get rid of it. So someone told me, next to the supermarket over there, they have a big container over there. And you throw all the clothes over there, and they come, they collect it, and they give it to poor people. What night it was? The night of the holiday of the Goyim, December 25th. Snowing as they like it. I walked in the snow. I never forget that moment. I come with a big bag, garbage bag full of clothes, and I walk in the snow late at night. You know, the streets are empty, quiet, you see all the lights. I come to the container. Just when I come, it was dark. I got scared. I saw someone sleeping there in the middle of the sidewalk. For a reason he came there. He was hoping that someone will come there before he dumped it in. He's going to maybe give him something. So I was about to dump it. He said, excuse me, can you spare some change? Goy. I'm very hungry, you know. And there's a supermarket right there. So I'm very hungry. I had some money. I gave him the money. And I said, you know, I gave him the, so he got on his knees, was holding my hand, crying, mamash, like unbelievable, crying, shaking, thank you. God said, JC sent you to me, you know. I went, it's a goy, it's not even a Jew, it's a goy. I felt so good, I don't know, I can't explain that feeling. 15 years later, I remember that moment. The pleasure, the joys that this human being had for giving him a few dollars to buy something to eat, it was like such a great feeling in the soul. That's called spirituality. Rather, there's also cases that you go deeply into the Torah, peace and quiet, and your brain is focused for 2 or 3 hours, and you're able to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the Gemara and the movements of the laws. It's very interesting. And the more you dig in, you'll find like a new world is opening. See, I don't know if one of you ever tasted it, but eventually it comes. There's moments in life that a person feels that his soul is vibrating. He's back to life. Rabbi Ovadia Yosef has a beautiful analogy about the relationship between the body and the soul. So he says, the body and the soul, it's like a male chicken and a female chicken. What's the difference? And a person is feeding the chickens. When he does not feed the male chicken dies and he's quiet until he dies. Doesn't make a beep. He's waiting for his food. He has food, he's gonna leave. No food, one day you see him falling and dying. The male. The female, if you don't give them the seeds that they need to eat, you're late by an hour or two, she begins to move around with her feathers, knocking things from the shelf, making noise. Cannot live in the house. I'm not going to eat, you're not going to have peace of mind here. And she runs around in the house. You have no choice. You come right away, you give her food. What's the difference? That's the difference between the body and the soul. The body, it's the female chicken. What does it mean? If you don't feed the body 3, 4, 5 hours, you're 2, 3 hours late, what happened? The stomach sending a signal. Then the head pounding. And then you're weak. You have no energy. You want to go to work. You lay down in bed. Wow, I cannot come to work today. Why? It's a fast day. In a fast day, you come to the yeshiva around 1 or 2, half of the people already in bed. They learn from the morning. Around 2, their mind cannot focus anymore. Why? Only a few hours. I'm talking a day fast. Not they fast from 6 in the morning until 6 in the evening. 12 hours fast. No breakfast. Comes 2 o'clock. You're 6 hours in a fast. The body does not cooperate. You don't give me food, I'm not going to let you walk. You're not giving me food, I'm going to bang your head until you get tired of me. You got to feed me. The soul, 70 years you walk. 70 years you walk, you do your business, you live your life. You don't feed the soul one day in your life, you don't even hear a beep. It gets to a point that a person is dead, spiritually is completely dead, and if you ask him, he cannot even see the difference. He cannot feel that he's dead. What's the proof that a person that does not have spirituality in him is considered dead? What's the proof? Maybe he's alive and you're alive. You're better than him. Both of you are alive. A sentence in the book of God. Nobody can argue with that, right? If God called one of his creations dead, neither I or you or anybody can contradict that, no? A sentence in the Bible, it says like this. I swear in my name, God says. Chai Hashem. Every time Hashem say Chai Hashem, swear on my name, that means it's the highest promise, the highest level. Swear. Hashem, God swear on his name. What does it mean? I swear on my name, he says, that I'm not interested to execute the death. Rather, that he will return from his bad way and make repentance, that he should live. What do you learn from this sentence? כי לא אחפוץ במות המת, כי אם בשובו מדרכו הרעה וחי. I'm not interested to kill the dead. It's dead already. I rather that he will make a change and start revive his soul and start clean all the spiritual death, layers of spiritual dirt around the souls. And once the soul will get rid of all this dirt, spiritual dirt that is around it, the more he purifies the soul, the better his life gonna be. In every aspect. No matter how you look at that. It's gonna be better in any aspect. What do I mean? Is that a guarantee that when a person purifies soul after learning and working and fighting his evil inclination and achieving great achievements, is that a guarantee that he's gonna be richer? No. A lot of people become very righteous and they still have difficult life. Salary is not so great. But you know what's the difference? I'll tell you what's the difference. Before he started the process of returning to God, whatever he didn't have made him very miserable. And he suffered non-stop. He felt his life has no meaning. He was living in illusion that one day he get out of this misery. The day he got connected to God and he discovered the beauty of Judaism and the purpose of life, there are much more important things in life than all these things, then those things hardly bothered him. All he cares is just to get enough food and to put gas in a car and nothing else. He takes vacation, not takes vacation, how it's going to be, how his car going to be. None of these things bother him anymore. You know how many burdens a person got rid right away in a process of 2-3 months of improvement? All the things that used to eat him like cancer from inside does not bother him at all. Next thing is, he's not so interested in the media anymore. Why? Because he sees in his eyes all the lies, all the gossip, all the cruelty. There's anything more cruel than the TV shows? You don't even realize. In 1 hour that you watch, you see tens of murders, hundreds of words of Lashon Hara, publishing bad information about individuals all the time on the news, showing their pictures, showing from candy cameras the way that, what they did, destroying people's life constantly, in every channel almost. Affecting you to all very bad things, attracting you to all the negative in the world, and making you busy with all the nonsense in life that you don't have time to focus on the right thing. So in that case, I want to ask you, there's anything that can create more damage to our life than this thing? And yet people are having not only 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 in their houses. Everywhere. God forbid he won't have a room without it. That's the beginning of the cure. First cure, we have a Rav, I know a Rav, his name is Rav Moshe Malka from Bnei Brak. Rav Moshe Malka, other than the fact that he's learning and all his life is doing a lot of great things, he has a yeshiva of 700 children in Bnei Brak, there's one thing about him. He's very strict. Very, very strict. You hear one lecture from him here, how people say, I'm strict, I'm a piece of cake compared to him. Nothing. He's so strict that even religious from birth are shaking when they see him. What is he going to have to tell me? And he has such strong faith in God that it's hard to believe. He can get on a car to drive to the airport knowing he's going to get half an hour after takeoff when there's hardly no chance to catch the plane. He still get on a car and go to the airport. And the driver say, Rabbi, it happened. What's the point of driving from Muncie to Kennedy? It's half an hour is the flight. There's no chance even to get there before, and we need to be there 2 hours before for check-in. What's the point? So his answer will be, and he live like this every day. What's his answer gonna be? You the boss of the world. You decide who gets on the plane and who gets to his destination. You have a job to try. The rest is not in our hand. I need to get to Israel. I have money to bring to the yeshiva. The yeshiva needs the money. What can I do that I need to finish to pray Arvit? What can I do that it takes me half an hour to do Avdallah? What can I do until I'm finishing with my mitzvot? It's only half an hour before the flight. So now the rest is not in my hand. I do first my obligation. So why I'm telling you about him? The reason is because when he comes to a person and he sees the TV in his house, he's not even asking him permission. He takes it and throws it from the window to the street. In his face. And he says, sue me. Is it legal by the halakha to do such a thing? I was wondering. It's mitzvah to save him from that, fine. But you just made him $200 damage. He just bought it in a sale in Macy's a week ago. He bought it. Is it allowed or not? What do you think? Huh?
Yeah.
No? What do you think?
No.
No. Yes. No. Yes. Do I think yes.
I'll give you a hint. The Torah says, the Torah says that every Jew has an obligation to do everything he can to save his Jewish brothers and sisters from making a sin. Everything in his ability he has to do. Based on that, to allow a Jew to watch that things, all the bad mouthing over there, all the curses, all the gossip, all the violence, all the problems with modesty, all the dirty stuff that they show all the time, that makes us become like them. The Torah says that a Jew has to do everything he can from A to Z with all his efforts to be as different as he can from the Goyim. Not to be even a bit similar to them. Not even a little bit. If they make a new haircut, to make sure, God forbid, he is not going to make the same haircut. If they started to speak with a certain slang, he is not allowed to talk like them. If they made up a new fashion now, he's not allowed to dress like them, even if it's modest. Nevertheless, if it's against the laws of modesty. That's in the Torah, I'm not making it up. God say, you are my children and they are not. I chose you from all the nation to be my children. I made you holy like me. That's the words in the Torah, word by word. I made you holy like me. I made you a special nation like me. All the time, like me, like me. Be aware to stay away from them. Not to eat from their food. Not to marry them. Not to give your children to their children and not to take their children to your children. Not to be too close with them. Even if they cook glad kosher food, glad kosher, you give them the meat. You give them the potato. You give him the pot. In your house, and he cook, you're not allowed to eat. Why? What's the secrets of that? What's the secret of that? What makes people friends more than anything in life? What creates spiritual connection between two people more than anything in life? Sitting to eat together. Nothing makes you friendly with a person more than sitting to eat lunch or dinner together, face to face, eating from the same plates. What's the proof? Even the Goyim knows it. When you want to close a good business meeting, what do? Let's go to dinner. Let's talk it over lunch. What's the point? Lunch, dinner. Let's do business, sign the papers, I show you the product and finish. What do we need to go to restaurants and make reservation? Because they know, you want to sell the product? You want to sell the product? the best way into the person's heart is through his stomach. That's one thing. Second of all, is like this. When a person cooks food, a part of his spirit goes into the food. When a person made music, a person invented a new melody, like like rap, rock and roll, all this music, right, that they invented. He put into his new song a part from his spirit. Everything that a person does, he invested some of his spirit, some of his nefesh into it. Same thing when a person draw. The draw indicates about what kind of neshama he has. I'll give you another example. When a person look at colors, he enjoys, right? What kind of pleasure he has? Physical or spiritual? Looking at beautiful Persian rug with beautiful colors, everything symmetric, nice colors. What kind of pleasure he has? Spiritual or physical? Spiritual. When a person listens to music, what kind of pleasure is that? Spiritual or physical? Spiritual. What's the proof? Take a very depressed person. Very depressed. He doesn't want to go to open the store, nothing. He's in bed. You put 10 minutes happy music in his room. Happy. Weddings music. Right away he gets out of his depression. Wait a few minutes, you see the impact that he makes. Or the other way around. Person that is very happy, had a good day today. You put him in a room, you put Schindler's List, the music over there. Half an hour you put over there, you look at him like this. He's almost crying. What happened? Music has a great power to change a person. For good or for bad. The interesting part is that according to Jewish Kabbalah, there are two gates in the spiritual world. One is the entrance to the world of the Torah, the source where all the Torah of God came from, and one where all the music came from. Music, they have 7, what do you call it, tavim, the sign, the musical sign, what do you call it? Notes. Musical notes, 7. 7, because it's like the Shabbat. 7, it's a sign of spirituality. 7, why God chose Shabbat to be the special day? Why everything in the Torah is always 7, 7, 7? Pesach, 7. Omer, 7 times 7. Everything 7 in the Torah. Pay attention to the Torah. Yovel, what's Yovel? Every 50 years, it's Shnat Yovel. Every 7 years, it's Shnat Shemitah. 7, 7, 7, 7 times 7, you get to the Yovel. Omer, the same thing. 7 weeks, multiply 7 times 7, 49. Always the same things. When you have the equal skips in the Torah, always constantly goes in a 7. You say Kiddush, V'shamru bnei Israel et HaShabbat. The word Israel is an equal skip of 7 inside the sentence that speaks about Shabbat inside the Torah. 1 letter Yud, 7 letters it's Shin, 7 letters is Resh, 7 letters is Aleph, 7 letters is Lamed. Inside the sentence that it's a covenant between the Jews and God, he hid the word Israel in equal skip of 7. Why the 7? The Maharal lived about 450 years ago in Prague. A lot of Jews now it's in fashion. A lot of Jews take trips to Prague to see all these fantastic, beautiful shoes that they made over there. From 800 years ago, 700 years ago. All great art. They made unbelievable shoes over there. Some of them are still active. People are davening there on Shabbat and in weekdays. So one of the shuls is the shul of the Maharal Prague. What's so special about him? We had tens of thousands of rabbis in the last 1,000 years. Tens of thousands of angels. Rabbis that were in level of angels. In their personality, in their knowledge, in their brilliance, in their achievement in life. So why his name is unique? Because he's one of the only people in life that were able with the secrets of the Kabbalah to create a human being. A human being that walk in the street and talk and bring water from the well. Did you ever hear such a thing? A person is creating another person. If you say it on the street, people will think we're crazy. But we have solid proofs. Even the Goyim in Prague, go ask them, in the stores around this shul, they sell all kinds of souvenirs about the golem. What's the golem? Golem is a person without a soul. Without a soul. It's like a robot. He has no free choice. Whatever you tell him, he does. Like you created a robot today with a remote. The same thing, just he listens to your order and he does what you do. He's not the first one in history that did that. In the time of the Gemara says, Rabbi and Rabbi Zera, they had a Purim party. It's in the Gemara, in the oral Torah. And remember, how do you know it's true? How do you know? Maybe they push inside all kinds of baloney stories. Very simple. Because one of the things that is always the most important thing in Judaism is the search for the truth. Every book that the rabbi wrote a law or an opinion or analogy about certain issue, right away all the rabbis of that generation respond against and for it from all angles. It's always philosophical arguments. Imagine if a rabbi would write that he created a human being and publish it in his book, and everyone will be silent. They'll choke him to death. Who are you, you crook? Today we have some crooks. Soon as the society, religious society, find out that they're crooks, what happened? They put them in isolation. They put advertisement on the street, stay away from this crook. They write, the rabbis make letters. Why? He's a crook, he's dangerous. We vomit him from our community. Why? Because the stamp of God is the truth always. Comes the time of the Maharal Prague. Not only that in his book they speak about this golem, all the people of the generation writes about it. But you have to go 1,000 years before him, 1,200 years before him. In the times of the Gemara, there was a Purim party. Two rabbis, Rabbi and Rabbi Zera. One slaughtered the other. When they were drunk from the wine, Purim, they drink a lot of wine, Purim party, and not realizing what he's doing. When a person is drunk, he's out of control. He stabbed him to death. When he became sober, he came out of his being drunk. He sees his best friend is dead on the floor with a knife stuck to his stomach. So the people say, Rabbi, what's wrong with you? You got so drunk, you killed him? So he said, okay. He started to say all kinds of things. A few minutes later, he came back to life. So what happened? They knew all the secrets of the angel is in charge of taking the soul out of the body to be able to bring the soul back into the body. That's why one of the things in the Gemara, a lot of people don't know it. There were tens of thousands of rabbis in that generation, of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Almost every person, every second person was in the highest level. But only few hundreds, their name is mentioned in the Gemara by their name. Many times the Gemara brings an opinion anonymous. He's not in a level to mention his name in the Gemara. What's the requirements that your name will be allowed to be mentioned in the Gemara? That you're able to resurrect the dead. If you're able to take a dead person and bring his soul back into the body, that means you reach the level which is above the red line. If you're in that level, they mention your name in the Gemara. If not, they just say, Amar, somebody, one rabbi said, somebody from that city said, a student of this rab said. They don't mention his name. Interesting. So, when he came back to life, he say, wow, he went too far. A year later, the Gemara says, he sent him an invitation to a Purim party. So he told him, hey, he sent him a telegram. He say, what do you think, every day it's Purim? We have an expression until today in Israel, the secular Jews use it all the time, every day, everywhere, and they have no idea what's the source of that. When a person got lucky on a deal, and his wife tell him, do it again. So what is his reaction to her? Every day, it's Purim, Kol Yom Purim. What's the connection? A bug inside the seltzer. What's the connection? What's the connection? That he sends him a message. What? Every day is Purim. Last year you got lucky. You were able to bring me back to life. Who's to say that this year I'm not going to end up losing my life by you? So what happened? The Gemara says, it's the Gemara. Remember what I say, it's the Gemara. It's the foundation of the oral Torah that we use today. The Gemara says, Yaakov, you can sit. Yaakov, you can sit. Thank you. The Gemara says, pay attention to what I'm saying. Thank you. So the Gemara says, so he created a human being, a golem, and he sent a ladder with this golem. He created him from scratch, from nothing. And he sent it with a golem, and he opened up the ladder, and he see, this person that bring you this invitation was not created by a mother and father. It was created by me from A to Z. So if you worry about your life, that I'm able to take the soul and bring it back into the body, which is already 90% ready, just to put it in, here I show you that I'm able to create one from scratch. So don't worry, if something happens, I recreate you. That's the Gemara, it's in the Gemara. The Maharal Miprag created his golem, and the Maharal Miprag writes in his book like this: what's the secrets of the number 7? What's the secret of 7? Everything material has 6 dimensions. Everything. It has up and down, south, north, west, and east. Always. Everything you take. Take the box, here you go. Take up and down, left, right, south, west, everything you look at. There's always a way to look at it from under, from above, and from each direction. One other thing you should know, that everything in the creation that was created, the Torah says nothing was created square. There's nothing in this creation that was created square. People made square things. None of the raw material was created square. That's another thing. But everything has 6 dimensions. And comes the number 7, it symbolizes the next world. Going out of the material world, leaving this lowest world, and going to the higher world, which is all spiritual. No body, no material, no nothing. No time. Time that we have, it's here. How do you determine time here? It's a combination of speed and the way, the distance, right? And מהירות כפול דרך, and no, space is the destination. That's what it is. There are 3 things in the formula. מהירות כפול דרך, speed, way, speed, way. No, the speed and way gives the time. How does the time is determined? Yes, time is the 3rd one. Speed, the speed. In other words, the distance, and how fast is the item is moving. That's what determines the time. But once there's no raw material, there's no way to measure time. That's why when a person has a dream, the scientists say that the longest dream is only 9 seconds. How can it be? He had a year of misery in one little dream. When he wake up, the scientist told him, look at your brain waves. Only 9 seconds. 9 seconds, 1 year of suffering. 9 seconds? I felt like I'm in such terrible place for a year in jail. They beating me up. This is all coming in 9 seconds? Yes. Because once the soul is out of the body or connects to a spiritual world, that's what the dream is all about. Maybe next week I'm going to make a whole lecture about dreams. Dreams, yeah, it's a very good lecture. It's explaining dreams. What each dream means, how the dreams work, and what time of the night, and so forth and so on. Here, Malkiel, you have the next topic. You always call me for the topic. Dreams, next week. Bli neder. So, few seconds give you years inside the dream. Same thing when a person is communicating with the upper world. You can push as much as time as you want. It doesn't really need real time. It's all like an illusion, like a simulator. This is how it works. Same thing when a person leaves this world. Some people ask this question. I don't understand. The Torah says that the wicked people that rebel against God and did not listen to His laws are punished severely. Many different punishments. Reincarnation, in raw material, in animals, in human beings, in autistic children. There's sometimes that the soul goes into the space, which is called kafakela, which is the worst punishment supposedly. Sometimes the soul goes to hell. Hell, even though it's a punishment, it's productive because it's improving the soul. It's purifying the soul for you. What you didn't do with your power of will, with your free choice, comes hell and does for you. The difference is that it's painful. It's painful. You got to be purified. And then once you're purified, it's all from the Torah. I'm not making it up. Don't suspect here. If you want, I have a whole lecture about this. Description from hell. 7 different places in hell. Description from A to Z. Which angel is in charge? How does he look? What's his name? Who is his deputies? How many angels are under his control? How does it look? What color is the fire? How deep is the holes? What's inside the holes? How many windows they have? One of the reasons God brought us Auschwitz in this world, this is something that never took place in 2,000 years. From the times of the Romans, there were not such a cruel things like the Holocaust. Why God made it? Because He wanted to show all the people who started to have doubts in that generation, if the Torah is the truth, that not only it's possible what comes after a person leaves this world, I'm going to show it to you in front of your eyes, that you see how severe is the punishment of the people can be. Once a person sees in his eyes how far the punishment can go, he has no more excuses. I didn't know, I didn't think it's going to be like this. What do you mean you didn't think? You saw in this life, nevertheless in the next world, as the Torah says. And at the same time, the reward is huge. The reward is fantastic. It pays to be righteous. It doesn't pay to be wicked. But one of the questions everyone asks, I understand in this material world that a person can be burned in a fire. I understand. Take a person and burn him inside the fire. Today I got a phone call of a sad story. Jewish woman, a sinner, Hashem Yerachem, marry a non-Jewish person, live with him for years, and she died today. And guess what he did, the goy? He burned her body. And one woman called me all crying. What can we do for her? Maybe this lecture will be for her, elevating her soul, Leilu Nishmata. But the truth is, I'm not so sure he can help. There are few things that a person, if it happens to him, is very, very bad. One is committing suicide. Committing suicides, the halacha said, in some of the books I read it, that even Kaddish cannot help. That's how bad it is. And the person that committed suicide cannot be buried in a Jewish cemetery. He has to be buried in a separate section. He cannot be buried with his brother Jews. It's very, very bad. Person that decide to be God and take his own life. We're not talking about a person who did it for the sake of heaven. What do you mean? If a person, they brought him on stage and they wanted him to bow down to an idol, that the goyim will make a party, he is obligated to die and not to do it. If they came and tell him, have relation with a woman, that she's not your wife, he has to die and not to do it. And the next thing is, if they tell him that you have to kill somebody else, if not we kill you, he has to die and not to kill somebody else. Everything else they tell him, pay attention. Everything else they tell him to do, eat pork, eat shrimps, even burn the Sefer Torah. Pay attention. He has to do it and not to die. But they tell him, go to a girl and make a sin with her. If not, we kill you. He has to die and it's not justifying, the sin does not justify doing it to stay alive. He's not allowed to do it. Just show you how severe is all these sex crimes that people do all the time today. If they only knew what they are cooking for themselves. If they only read in the Torah how severe is the sin, how severe is the punishment, how it's going to affect their life from now until the end of life, how many marriage problems they're going to have because they didn't listen to the creator of sex and relation and family. You go against the manufacturer. You can play with a computer better than Mr. Lee or Mr. Ichigawa in Japan. He made it up. You want to fight with him that you know about this Dell computer more than him? He made it. He's the engineer. The engineers know better than you. Even if you're an expert in computer, you know every way, left and right. You know everything. Every function you know. He's always going to know better than you. Why? Because he invented it. He decided. It's his logic. It's his opinion. For whatever reason, that it will take us 1 billion years to understand, and we won't understand 1% from his brilliance. The Torah already said, don't try to understand him, to understand me in your human logic. The difference between your human logic and my logic is like the difference between a worm and an eagle. That's a sentence in the Torah. Same way, the worm is on the floor and is slow and he can hardly move, and the eagle can, in a minute, he can go from anywhere he wants. It's just an analogy. That's the difference between me and you. So you're trying to understand me in your logic. That's the mistake to begin with. Right away, it's a mistake. Right away, by you coming and trying to think that you are in the same level of God, that you are able to contradict him, or maybe you know better what's for you. You know better than your manufacturer what's better for you. You know better. You know better. Think, just focus on that issue. If you have a book of instructions that was given to you by God, and you read certain things that look very silly to you, very silly, does not make sense. Where is the problem? In your brain or in his brain? You have to come to conclusion that society and all the things that my parents and my teachers and everybody else around us fed me from the moment I came here until now, some of the things were wrong, and they got me to be confused. And that's why some of the things I read in the Torah, it's hard for me to imagine. For instance, nobody can digest the fact that to violate the rules of Shabbat, not to be a Shomer Shabbos, is worse than to be a murderer. Nobody can digest it. I spoke to hundreds of people about it. Everyone said, I can't believe it. I don't know. I can't. I'm trying, but I can't. I want to tell you a secret. I myself cannot digest it. It's hard to believe. Why? You know why? I tell you the answer. Because when we were little kids, we grew up in rotten society. Whether it was in Israel or here, most of the people already were out of religion. And for them, it became a habit not to keep Shabbat. To smoke, to drive, to watch TV on Shabbat, to go to games. So 80-70% of society do it constantly. You grow up with seeing it, you get used to it. Nobody ever told you, you see this guy is driving on Shabbat. What a criminal. That's why when you see him, hi brother, how are you? But if this brother, you just found out that he shot 100 little kids and killed all of them, you would come and say, hi brother. You run away to the other side of the world not to even be near him. If your son brings such a guy to your house that is a murderer, you go nuts. The Mechalel Shabbos that just came is 1,000,000 times worse. Where does it say? In the Torah, in Shulchan Aruch. What's the difference? One difference. If you don't agree with me, raise your hand. We'll talk about it. But it's not me, it's the Torah. I'll show it to you. What's the proof? What's the proof? When we were little kids, our parents, no matter where, no matter how religious they were, even the Goyim, not anymore today, but 30, 20 years ago, everybody spoke how terrible it is to be a murderer. Everywhere you went, you heard it. You went to public school, Mr. Lee, the teacher, say, be careful not to kill. You went to another public school, Mr. Smith, say, a murderer is a despicable human being. You went to Tel Aviv, to a public school over there, Mr. Cohen, Mr. Cohen, be careful, stay away from murderers. None of them bother to tell you to be very careful not to break the covenant between us and God, which is much more important than another sin from the Torah. So you grew up with this mentality. After 20, 30 years today, after 50 years that society already got used to the sin, go and try to change people's mentality. It's almost impossible. But what, can you argue with the facts? 12 times the Torah speaks about Shabbat, only 3 times about murder. The punishments of a murderer is nothing compared to the punishment of Mechalel Shabbos. A murderer can be apart from the minyan. 9 Jews wants to bring out the Sefer Torah, they're looking for the 10th Jew. They see the murderer that just came out of jail, but he's Shomer Shabbos. He's Shomer Shabbos, but he's a murderer. Come, be the 10th one. You're allowed to give him aliyah to the Torah. A Mechalel Shabbos, your brother, your father, no matter who he is, the most important person to you on earth is not Shomer Shabbos, lighting fire on Shabbat or electric or play with the remote or talk on the phone or cut in measurements or sew or write or erase letters. 39 restrictions in the Torah. One of them he does on purpose. If he's a fool, he's an ignorant, it's a different category. It's just an ignorant. He knows you're not allowed to light fire. He knows you're not allowed to drive. And he does it. He cannot be a part of the minyan. Even on Yom Kippur, when they want to say Kol Nidrei, or they want to say Ne'ilah, and there's 5,000 Jews in a shul, and there's only 9 Shomrei Shabbos over there, according to the halacha, whether people follow the halacha or not, it's another issue. I care what the halacha says. According to halacha, if you have 5,000 Jews, and only 9 of them is Shomer Shabbos, you're not allowed to take out the Torah. You cannot say Kaddish in a shul. You cannot repeat the Shmona Esrei with Kedusha. You cannot open the ark. None of these things you cannot do. Because for that you need 10 kosher people. If you have a minyan of 12 people, 10 of them Shomer Shabbos, it's much better than 5,000 people that only 9 Shomer Shabbos. Because in this little minyan, little family minyan, you're allowed to take out the Torah. You're allowed to say Kaddish. You're allowed to read in the Torah. So that's the law. If you find a wallet of a murderer, but it's Shomer Shabbos, whenever I refer to murderer, with condition that it's Shomer Shabbos, you find a wallet of a murderer that is on the news all day, you are obligated to return the wallet to him. If you find a wallet of a non-Shomer Shabbos Jew, you can keep it to yourself and you have no sin. Next law. There's a very bad sin to give a loan to a Jew and collect interest. Tremendous sin, tremendous. One of the worst sins that you can find in the Torah. With the worst punishment. What's the worst punishment? Cannot resurrect in a resurrection of the dead. A person that collects interest from his friend. What does it mean? I can almost swear that each one of you is in this category. Why? You give a loan to your friend and he brought you a cream cake as a gratitude, it's already a problem. Because he would never give you the cake without the loan. It's already a big problem. Or you borrow from him 10 apples and he brought you back 15. That's interest. And maybe one day I have time to make a whole lecture about interest. How many cases in our life we do interest and we have no idea how severe is our sins. It's very, very strict. For whatever reason, God is very severe about these interest things. What's the punishment? Does not resurrect in a resurrection of the dead. But when you go to the laws of interest, the 5th law, it's unbelievable. When I saw it, I couldn't believe. You're allowed to lend money to Mechalel Shabbos, non-Shomer Shabbos, and collect interest from him because he's 100% a goy in the eyes of God. That's the halakha in Shulchan Aruch. But if a murderer wants a loan from you, think about it. He just killed a baby. He choked a baby in bed yesterday. But he's Shomer Shabbos. He wants a loan. You're not allowed to collect interest from him. Why is Shomer Shabbos? He's a Jew. He's a murderer. He's a despicable human being. He deserves killing. Yes, he's a murderer. But he's a Jew. You can be the best person on earth, helping miserable people, being nice to everyone, polite, with great value, but you drive with your car on Shabbat, you have no part of the world to come. You're not considered as a Jew in the Jewish halakha. No. How many Jews in the world knows about it? How many? Take 100 on the street, make a survey. Maybe one will know about it. See how low we went? Not only we forgot the covenant that God made with us. The word Shabbat means Shabbat Brit Filin. Shin Bet Taf. Shin is the first covenant, Shabbat. Shin stands for Shabbat. Bet stands for Brit Milah, circumcision, which is another covenant. And the third covenant, and the only, three only, it's Tfilin. You should put a sign on your heart and on your brain. The brain is where the soul is, in between the eyes. This eye starts here. And this eye starts here. If you stand in front of the mirror and you close this eye, what happens to this eye? Expands, become bigger, the pupil. Or you do the other way around, you see this eye becomes bigger. Person that become blind on one eye, you see much better with the other eye. There's an extra energy. Why, when the Torah says that you have to put the tefillin in between your eyes, so the reforms, the Shomronim, they used to put the tefillin on their nose. Why? In between the eyes. That's not the eyes. That's the blinds. Open and close. That's the blinds. Where is the real eye? The source of the eye is here, and this eye is here. When you put the tefillin here, it has to be right in the middle. If it's going to be here, it's on your eyes, not in between the eyes. Also, it has to be above where the air is going, not below. Also, the dalet, the nut, has to be in the bone. Millions of secrets in those things. There's not the time to tell you why. The main thing to understand, it has to surround the soul. The soul, the divine soul that each one of us got, is inside the head. And the evil inclination is inside the heart. That's why we say in Shema Israel every day. Do not follow your eyes, do not follow your heart. One tefillin for the eyes, one tefillin for the heart. You understand? Connection with God every day. The Gemara says three unbelievable things. A non-Shomer Shabbos, 7 different places in Shulchan Aruch, the Torah comparing to a Goy 100%. 100%, not one difference. As a matter of fact, there's one difference to the favor of the Goy. That the Goy is less worse than him. In one law. That if the Goy, in Bruce Lee from China, from Hong Kong, he brings a lamb, a goat, to the Bet HaMikdash as a gift to the Jews. Let's say in the time of King Solomon, the Goyim, as appreciation, they brought sacrifices. So Goy, he bowed down to his Buddha every moment. But out of appreciation, being polite, he brought a goat to the Jews. They take it and they sacrifice it for that Goy. And Mr. Cohen, that is not Shomer Shabbos, brought the goat. They're not allowed to accept it from him. That's another halacha. If Mr. Cohen make kiddush, it's not good for you. You have to redo the kiddush. So many laws. If I'm going to tell you all the list, you sit and cry until tomorrow. But what's the conclusion? Instead of saying, oof, strict, why did I go? Why do I have to listen to this? It's too much. Be honest with yourself. A good doctor is the doctor that tells you the truth in your face. He can save your life forever. A bad doctor is a doctor that tells you what you want to hear. Don't worry. Take 2 Advil, everything will be fine. What do you search for, the lie or for the truth? I always have a say. People who already come to a lecture, they already raise their level tremendously. Tremendously. Why? Because the Torah says that the person that searches for the truth will find the truth. Will find the truth. Someone who searches for the truth has a chance to find it. Someone who's not searching is only searching for money. Where is he going to find the truth? Where is he going to find it? A person that comes to hear, that means two things happening here. One, that he has the merit to hear the word of God. Second, that he has a potential to grow spiritually. Sometimes people want to come, God is blocking them. He's not interested. Yes, it says in the Torah. Rambam writes, every time a person has an opportunity to come close to God, every opportunity is better than the next opportunity. Which means, I'll give you an example. She's 12 years old, bat mitzvah. Uncle Moshe from Yerushalayim came and brought her a siddur. She grew up in a almost Goyish family. She lives in Fifth Avenue. She doesn't know nothing about Judaism. She got to private Christian school. There's a lot of Jews like this. Comes a religious uncle and bring her a nice book, Siddur or Chumash. That's the first opportunity in life that she has to read about God. Right? That's, if she's going to take that opportunity, God will help her more than ever after. There will be chance number one. If she missed the chance, she ignored it. She was happy, but then her mind was in somewhere else. She may get her next opportunity age 17. Now she has another opportunity. No problem. Now the help that God will give her will be a little bit less than the first time. A little bit less. And the next one a little bit less. Comes the point, the Rambam says, comes the point that God slowly narrow the entrance until it's blocked. It gets to a point, the Gemara brings us a story about Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes and his rabbi. His rabbi, his name was Elisha ben Avuya. You heard his name? Elisha ben Avuya. The Gemara says, Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes, one of the greatest Jew ever live in history, his Rabbi became wicked Jew. You heard such a thing? All his life, he was a big rabbi. One day he came and said, listen, I'm not keeping anything anymore. What happened to him? He made one mistake in his understanding of the Torah. One mistake caused him to have doubts. And he started to leave. The Gemara says he was riding on a horse on Shabbat, and Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes runs after him and he teaches him Torah while he's running on a horse. So comes now the place, it's 2,000 amma. That's the border of the town. You're allowed to go 1 kilometer out of the town, the range of the town, because Shabbat was not given to travel, to walk. So you have an X amount that you can go out of the town. Is Elisha ben Avuya tell him, stop right here. That's the border for you. You cannot cross. So he told him, what, you're less a Jew than me? So he told him, it's too late for me. I heard God announce in a hall of heaven, every Jew has a chance to make repentance except Elisha ben Avuya. You see the level that he had? The level that he had? Every Jew has an opportunity to make repentance except Elisha ben Avuya. I'm a lost case. Why God did it to him? Comes the Gemara and say, did God really close his opportunity? Gemara says no, but he narrowed it almost to zero. Now if he wants to make repentance, it's going to be so difficult for him, because without the help of God, nothing can work well. Even to bang a nail on a wall, you need to pray to God that it's going to be successful. To drill, to build a sukkah, to do little things, people take it for granted. Everything in life you need help. People take for granted. You walk, you got used to it. You bang a nail, you got used to it. What's the big deal? You move your hand, you got used to it. You eat, you digest, you're able to go to the bathroom. You got used to it. If you see how complicated each system in your body is, and how many millions of miracles have to happen in the perfect timing that you will be able to go to the bathroom, just to go to the bathroom. If you knew what a miracle, take the entire United States Army, all the soldiers, all the planes, all the tanks, all the computers, all the satellites, all the atomic bombs that they have, all the leaders, all the politicians together will not compare to the system of your stomach or your lung or your heart, how it works. All of them together. So if the army worked perfect in a war, not one mistake, like in a 6-day war, people will talk about it in a million years. In the United States, one pilot once said that he went to, in Long Island, there's a school, they're teaching pilots over there. So he's speaking about all the wars. He did not mention one word about the 6-day war. So the Israeli pilot got angry. He thought maybe he's an anti-Semite. So he told him, excuse me, you're speaking for so long, you did not mention one word about the 6-day war. How can it be? The Israeli Air Force destroyed hundreds of airplanes of the Syrians, Jordanians, of the Egyptians in a matter of hours. Not one Israeli plane got hit. Miracle like never saw before from the time of Egypt, from the time of Pharaoh. Such miracles. 6 days, a little army, not professional, with old weapon, with hardly any soldiers, winning against 7 Arab countries. Unbelievable. With hardly any casualties, occupying hundreds of miles from their territory. So the American guy says, no offense, even if I speak about this war from now until forever, I won't be able to explain this war. This war is a miracle from A to Z. I cannot come in a school to teach combat based on that war. Something like this happened once in a million years. It doesn't happen. What do you want me to teach the pilots that that's going to be in their next war? The goy, he realized it's against all odds. This is nothing compared to your mouth, your eyes. Sometimes I read about the body. By the way, the Torah says there's many ways to fall in love with God. Many ways. One of the major ways is feeling of gratitude. I have to be grateful. I'm always trying to be grateful to every human being that helped me out. The more he helps me, the more I love him. You agree with that? The more a person is pushing you, the more he tries for you, the more he protects you, the more he gives you, the more you fall in love with him. It doesn't have to be a romantic love, but you love that person like brothers. You're willing to give a lot for him, right? Because you know it will be the other way around if you need his help. So anybody gave you 1 trillionth of a trillionth of a trillionth of a trillionth in 7 years more than what God does for you in a second? Think for a second. Go to York Avenue. You want to be religious tomorrow? Go to York Avenue. York Avenue. You know what's so special about that hospital. You ever been there? I hope you never have to be there. Whoever went to the hospital in York Avenue in Upper East Side? First, York Avenue, there's a big hospital over there. Yeah. What's over there? You know what's over there? All the cancer patients laying there in beds. Children, adults, older people. You go with a yarmulke or black hat over there, you see how the goyim calling you from the room. Rabbi, please come, give me a blessing. I said in my video, if you watched it, in a hospital almost everyone is religious. A person would work 70 years, making money every minute, around the clock. When he sleeps, he makes money. Like this guy, Paul McCartney. Why I mention him now? One time someone told me, you know, when Paul McCartney goes to sleep, by the time he goes to sleep, by the time he wakes up, he made $1 million. So I say, how? I say, because they play all over the world the songs of the Beatles. So every time they play, money is being wired constantly into his accounts. So just imagine if he tries to spend all the money. He doesn't have enough time to spend the money. You understand? Just to give you an idea. So, and the person sees how much God does for him, and not to take things for granted, the more he learns about his body, for instance, then he appreciates much more. Because nobody promised you, nobody owe you anything. If you get married or not, God owe you to get married? You know how many handsome people stay single for the rest of their life? Or beautiful women? They miss the train as far as marriage. Do you know how many people have so many other problems in life? What you have and you don't even appreciate. Millions of people would die for it. I always tell my children, you throw the bread, you throw the food. Go to Africa 1 second, see what happened over there. A truck comes, big bowl of rice. They wait all day online to get 1 spoon of rice to survive another day. And while you see them, there are hundreds of bodies on the street. Swollen stomach like this. People are dying on the street, nobody even buried them. They're just dead like this on the street. Someone who went there told me. The people laying bodies, bones, like this. People already got used to it. Just to make it to another day. The water they drink, you know, they saw the water they drink, they dig in the ground to get water with sand, like in India. In India, you try to drink the water, you vomit. Here in America, New York, you press the button, you have hot water. You got used to it. Check in history what people had to do 50 years ago when they needed a shower. I remember my grandmother used to take a shower with a special tool, like this, filling it up in a freezing winter in Israel. That's how it was. The shower was out of the house. You have to walk about 20 steps out of the house. There's a little cabin built from wood. There's no isolation, no heat, none of this. Freezing rain outside, shaking wind. Take some hot water a little bit, and there's no light. I'm wondering to myself, you cannot take shower at night. Only during the day. You see where the soap is, nothing. That's a generation ago. I was a kid, I myself saw it. There are millions of people until this moment are like this. There are people who never saw toilet paper in their life. They don't know what it is. You know how they go to the bathroom, they take leaves from the trees. Yeah. You think I'm crazy? You don't understand how many hundreds of millions in Thailand, in India, in Africa, in the third, what do they call them? Third world countries? Yeah. And they, Allahu Akbar, 5 times a day. 5 times a day. Something happened, they scream, God, why? A Jew, hundreds of millions, how much money, houses, cars, servants, bank, great food. 70 years, not one time, thank you, God. It's all thanks to me. I'm God. Right or wrong? No. The question is, where are we heading to? Time is almost running out. People reach great level. The Gemara tells us a story about Abba Umna. You heard about Abba Umna? Tell you a story about Abba Umna. Avahati leshlama kol yoma mimetifta derekia. Every day, it's in Aramaic, so I'll translate. Every day, he gets a regard from heaven. He hears in his ear an echo, an angel. I don't know what does it mean. It's called bat kol. Bat kol, that's what it calls. He hears every day, hello Abba Umna. Hello Abba Umna, every day. Abaye, one of the greatest rabbis in the Gemara, Abaye and Rava, almost every chapter in the Gemara you see his name all the time. Once a week, Friday Eve, moments before Shabbat, he hears hello. Rava, that used to learn with him, they learned together in the same yeshiva, once a year, moments before Yom Kippur begins, he hears hello. Abaye got upset. He looks at Abba Umna, he looks at himself. He knows he's very righteous, he knows himself. He does his best. He's wondering, why this Jew, Hashem comes every day to send him hello. Every day he hears a spiritual hello from God. What about me? I'm only once a week. That means he's better than me. So what's I wish we would have once in 70 years hello. We won't be jealous with them, believe me. But over there, he figure something I'm not doing right if he gets more hellos than me. So he came and asked, anybody can tell me what this Abba Umna does better than me? So the Gemara says, no, you cannot reach his level. They told him. Why? He said, Dechi Ava Avid Milta, Ava Avid Leduchta de Gavri Lechudayu, Venashi Lechudayu. He is accepting audience, and when they come to his clinic, he makes a separate room for men, separate room for women, with different entrances, that they don't see one another in his clinic. No. And then what? He is injecting things to in the old days, it wasn't really injection. They used to use those little blood suckers, what's their name? Leech. Today they started again, the doctors. In some hospitals they started to use it again now. Someone told me that doctors now they learn how to use it, because it's very productive. But in the old days when they wanted to do certain things with blood, they used to put the leech and then they get the blood out. So he used to do it. So he has to take care of ladies. He's the only doctor in town. So he made a special outfit that covers the entire body of a lady and has only one little hole in a place exactly where he needs to do his treatment. That God forbid he won't see another inch from her body. Even though you know a doctor is a doctor, he's not excited after a while. God forbid that maybe there will be a woman that get him to think not modest. He doesn't even want to get to this. So he made a special outfit. No, what else? When a rabbi used to come, someone that learns Torah all day, and he doesn't have money because he's in yeshiva, he doesn't keep him waiting online. He runs outside, he brings him before everyone. Say, thanks to you, the world exists. That's what the Torah says. People who learn Torah, they are the energy of the world. He brings him in right away. When he saw a person that doesn't have money to pay, like the doctors today, he comes, he said, no problem. He got taken care of. He doesn't take money. One time, Abaye sends 2 rabbis with a custom to check him out, to see if all these things is true. And he didn't know. He make him a trick. So those 2 people came, he brought them inside the house, he fed them with food, drinks, and he prepared a room for them to sleep at night. In the morning, they stole all his belongings and wrapped it with a rug and ran early in the morning before he even woke up. They ran and brought it to the market. They know that on the way to his clinic, he's going to pass through the main road and he's going to see them selling his merchandise. That's their plan. So he got up in the morning. He saw everything disappeared from the house. Everything. So he walked to his clinic. In the middle of the road, he doesn't see what's going on around. He's watching his eyes. So they call him up. Rabbi, come, we have something great to sell you. They're calling him. They say, how much would you give us for this rug, for this blanket, for this chandelier, whatever they stole? So he says, this one, it's worth $300. This one worth $1,000. This one worth $1,500. This is very expensive. This is special, this stone. So he says, you willing to pay? He says, yes, how much? Tell me how much you want for everything. And he knows it's them. He knows it's his. So they told him, what, you don't recognize who we are? So he said, I do. So he says, so how are you willing to pay us? He says, because when you were in my house and you disappear with all these things, I figure you must have a reason. Jews don't do something unless they have a spiritual reason for it. That was the case 2,000 years ago, yeah? So if you took everything, you probably have a serious cause and you were embarrassed to ask me for all these things. So, therefore, now since you left my home, So I already gave up. I forgave you 100% in my heart. So because I forgave you and I gave it to you as donation, you want to sell me, I'll buy it back. Hard to believe. Then he said, what did you really suspect that we had to do? He said, probably there's a Jewish prisoner that needs the Jews to redeem him from the Goyim, because they used to kidnap Jews and ask for random to release them. So he probably running to release a Jew, and I was very happy that I have the merit. So they told him, Chazak u'Baruch, here is everything yours, we don't want any money. They gave him everything back, and they ran to Abaye to tell him the story. And Abaye finally realized that the fact that Hashem comes to this Jew every day has a reason for it. Then his Chevruta Rava, only once a year Hashem comes to him. So now he's jealous with his own friend. Friend every week hear hello, he hears once a year. So one day he had a dream, and they told him, we know you're very upset that you only hear hello once a year, and your friend that you learn with every week, he gets some kind of discovery, some kind of connection. So we want to cheer you up. We want you to know that this whole town is surviving thanks to your merit. This whole place, all the wealth in this place is thanks to you. You leave this place will go down tremendously. So then they cheer him up, and that's the story.
What Masechet is this?
Masechet Ta'anit. Ken. Daf Chavbet Amud Aleph. Then, pay attention to one more story and we finish. Rav Broka Choza, that's his name, Rav Broka. Avakai Beshuka Devei Lefet. He was in a marketplace. Avashachiach Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi came to him. You know Eliyahu Hanavi, no? He puts a custom of a person and he comes and speaks to you and you never know it's him. If you have the merit, you see him in a dream. That's a very good sign. Comes Eliyahu Hanavi to him. He asks him, look at all these thousands of people in the market. Can you show me which one of them already has a part to the world to come? He asked Eliyahu Hanavi. He told him none. None of them. Thousands or hundreds of people in the market. None of them has a part to the world to come. So he told him, wait a minute. There's one guy here that he has a part to the world to come. Who is he? He showed him a guy that looks like a goy. Leather boots, no yarmulke, amash, like secular Jew. So this has a part of the world to come? Told him yes. Said thank you. The next day, he runs after that Jew. He calls him, hey, excuse me. He doesn't answer him. The Jew runs. The secular Jew runs. He said, hey, excuse me, I want to ask you a question. He said, talk to me tomorrow, I don't have time now. So what's your business? What do you do? Amar le zandu kahana. I'm a guard in a prison. So he says, I know that you're a very special human being. Can you tell me why you're so righteous? What do you do? What is your specialty? So he told him, I'm in a prison, and every day people coming to the prison. I make sure I send the men to a separate section, and I send the ladies to a different section, that they don't have connection one with the other. Not only that, I put a separation between them at night. When they're still in one room in the first night, I take a sheet, I stick it to the ceiling, and make a screen that nobody sees, and I stay up all night, that people will not make scenes, because they're now depressed. I stay over there to save them from the scene. So then, when I see a Jewish lady is brought by the Goyim into the prison, and the Goyim begins to look at her, I give my life, no matter what happened, and I save her. One time an engaged woman came, and the Goyim were looking at her. She was very beautiful. They wanted to rape her. And I came and I brought wine, red wine, and I spilled on her clothing. She had some of her clothing off, and I told them, hey, she's in the middle of her period. What do you see from this story? That the Goyim will not do that sin, such a serious sin. So don't touch her. She's in the middle of her period. It looks like blood. He brought very red wine. And I saved her from them. Sometimes the Goyim here, the prisoners of the Goyim, they're in charge of the prison, they don't know I'm a Jew. That's why I walk without the yarmulke. I'm like a spy. Sometimes I hear that they talk, who they going to rob, which Jews they going to attack, what story they're going to make up about one Jew to put him in prison, what story they want to make up on another Jew. And I hear it, and I sit with them together, and I run to the rabbis to tell them their plan. Every day I tell the rabbi what they plan. That's my job. I risk my life here. Why I went to the rabbi? To pray that the problem will be over. So he said, how come you don't have tzitzit? He said, obviously if they see me with the tzitzit, they'll know I'm a Jew. So he told him, why are you asking me all these questions? So he told him, before you asking me all this, I ask you what is your business. You told me I cannot talk. Talk to me tomorrow. Why? Why you didn't answer me right away? He told him, because at that moment there was a huge decree on the Jewish nation, and I heard their plans, and I was on my way running to the rabbis, for the rabbis to cancel it. Then Eliyahu Hanavi came, he finished with this guy, and he told him, only one person in this entire market? So he told him, no, you see those two people over there? Over there, those two people, two religious people. What's with them? They also have a part of the world to come. Why? They go from one miserable person to another and make him happy. In a hospital, sing for them, play, dance, cheer them up, make them shows, help them in any way possible. Gmilut Chasadim. Because they make so many people, so many depressed people happy, they are guaranteed to have a part of the world to come. What do we see here? Not what we see from the outside is really the inside. You may see a person that looks the head rabbi of the world, and you see a person that looks, I don't know, wear casual clothes, is not such a knowledgeable guy in Torah. He may be the sponsor of the entire yeshiva. How do you know? Maybe he's a wealthy person, he gives millions of dollars every year. Thanks to him, the entire yeshiva learns Torah, billions of mitzvot, thanks to him. And he walks like this on the street with his phone. You'll never believe that this person is higher than all the rabbis together in his merit. That's what some people don't understand. If Hashem finally gave you money, you might as well buy mitzvot with this. Because you yourself don't do a lot. You know yourself. But you have a tool, a manufacturer of mitzvot. $1,000 to this, 1,000 there, 5,000, 10,000. Billions of mitzvot doing nothing. You make millions, you might as well give money, charity. Those who make. And those who don't make, at least they come to learn. And those who make and learn, they are the best. Yeh Ratzon Bezrat Hashem, each one of us gets what God gave him for his own purpose in life. I wish everyone, I can't believe I made it, I speak almost 2 hours. My battery ran out. Okay, so thank you very much and good night.